The Big Show.
All right, so this is at least the third time that Chad's been on the show. So most of you already know we're from the same hometown, although we went to kind of rival high schools. I've known about him since he was like 7th or 8th grade when his dad told me about him. But most importantly, for our purposes right now, he just won the Super Bowl again and just retired. Like, he had this awesome Instagram picture. He's drinking a beer, not our official sponsor, so I won't even say the name of the beer, but he's drinking a beer, says, that's it, after 15 years. So, Chad, thanks for coming on the show again, man. Really appreciate this. He's doing this right before he takes his kids to school. Yes, we are real people that take our kids to school. So I guess I just want to start, Chad, with when did you kind of know that this year was it?
I think just earlier on, going into the season, I think just talking with my family and just how my body felt and my mind, where my mind was at, I felt like this could be it. And obviously capping it off with the Super Bowl, what better way to go out? So it's definitely icing on the cake. My goal to get, once I got into the league, was 12 years. I pushed 3 years past and finally felt like this was it.
Okay, so a lot of interesting things there. So first of all, why was 12 the goal? Why was that the number?
I don't know. Ever since I got in the league after I graduated in Michigan, I've just felt like, hey, 12 is a good number. I mean, a lot of people say 10, 10's a great career, but I don't know. I just felt like 12 is a good number, and I got hurt my 12th year, so definitely couldn't end on that note. So I pushed past 3 more years.
All right, so Chad, you mentioned how your body was feeling and kind of where you were at mentally. I'm hoping you could dive into that a little bit deeper. How was your body feeling earlier in the year? And then what was kind of the mentality? How much of it was, listen, I don't have the desire to continue to work at this level? Or was it, I really want to go back, to Pennsylvania and start the next phase of my life? I'm sure all those things are a factor, but if you can kind of go a little bit deeper into what your mindset was and how your body was feeling.
Yeah, I think anything. OTAs and off-season training isn't a problem, but us old guys, once we get into training camp, and Andrew Reid runs one heck of a training camp, so that dives on you too. You're staying in a dorm room up at a Division II school, so that plays a part into it. But I felt like towards the end, my body felt great in the beginning, and at the end, it didn't feel great, and then it recouped once we got into the season. But it's just a daily basis. Once you go into Monday, Tuesday, all the film work that we do, all the training that we still do, I'm still squatting, still trying to keep my body strong, which I love to do, but at the same time, it's like the recovery factor is longer and longer as you get older, and just mentally going through the process throughout the year is just, it's tough. And I definitely see my kids each and every day. I miss some of their activities, and some of that stuff I just want to dive into.
It's so funny, man. I talk about this a lot when I talk about Brady, but even for you, I noticed the difference even from like when I was 22, 23, 24. Now, that might have been because I had the back surgery, but I noticed the difference from my early 20s to when I was 27, 28, just in terms of how I felt after a workout. And I retired at 28, and then I can even remember like early 30s, whether I had a big night out or like working out. And I remember thinking, man, it's crazy that guys are still playing the NFL, because your body's definitely not the same in your early 30s as it was in your 20s. And you did it till your late, mid to late 30s. And just anything I do, like any type of workout or even just like skiing, like it's just not the same.
Well, you're different. Obviously you played in the trenches, so your body's getting thrown around a lot more than mine. But at the same time, it's just even the mental factor. Like I love preparation. I love diving into film and learning. But at the same time, it's just a lot of work. You're talking about, getting there at 6 a.m. and not leaving until 6 p.m. We're almost an extension of the coaching staff, but they're there another 5 more hours. So it's a long day as a quarterback. It's mentally straining. And then on top of that, you play the physical factor as well.
Any chance, let's say something happens to Mahomes or Shane Buechele, let's say he's the quarterback. I actually talked with him at the Super Bowl. Had a great chat with him. I'm going to play that interview later on in the offseason. But let's say something happens in Kansas City in particular, but it could be somewhere else. Maybe it's Philly, and maybe they need a good backup, and you could still live in Reading. You could still live in and do the commute. Any chance you'd have any second thoughts?
I don't know. I'll never say never, but right now my mind's made up, and we're packing right now in Kansas City and heading back to Pennsylvania in 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. But right now, I just wanted to concentrate on my family, make sure they're set back in school, and get into sports as well.
I know you had told me a couple times this year, on the field before the game that you thought, this would probably be it. I guess I want to go to the Jacksonville game in the playoffs and you coming out there and, I was primarily like the swing inside guy in my career. I think I started 25 games, played in like 45, but I never started the opener. Like it was always like somebody got hurt and I came in and I played the rest. So anytime the last couple of years when you've gotten in the game, I know what that's like. And I've just been so proud of you and so happy that you got it done both times. Did that give you any pause? Like, man, I can still do this. Like, it was so fun to be out there and 98-yard touchdown drive. Did that have any impact on you one way or the other? Like, hey, I can still do it. I should keep doing it. Or, boy, that'd be a pretty cool way to go out.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, when you get in there and you can do things like that, I still feel like I can do it. I don't think my arm will ever change. I mean, obviously, when I'm 50, I might have hell of a lot of arthritis in there, but at the same time, I feel like I can spin the ball at any given moment and go out there. But it's just a mindset, just knowing that my mind's free, that I've accepted retirement, and I can be happy with what I've done in my career.
How much did the playoff performances against Cleveland 2 years ago and against Jacksonville this year, how much do they mean to you? I mean, I know it's kind of fresh in your mind and you just won the Super Bowl and you just retired, but kind of when you reflect back, getting those two major opportunities and helping your team get to the Super Bowl.
No, I think those are the two biggest moments in my career. I mean, even when I started, I mean, there was some good games, there was obviously some bad games, but those two moments will always resonate with me just because of what's on the line. I think you lose and you go home, and I was able to help the team at some point get us on to pass that level in that playoff game and move on. And this year especially get to the Super Bowl, so they'll always resonate with me. I think I'll be very proud with them. I think all the preparation that has gone into it shows that in those big moments, I was always prepared and was ready to go.
It really is unbelievable, Chad, when you think about the amount of time that you put in the last 5 years or whatever it was, really for those two moments, I mean, and I know you got a chance to play a little bit some other games, but like it's if you look at like time in versus time, but you were ready and you got it done. It is unbelievable. It can't be easy. And I think there's some guys that struggle as backup quarterbacks because it's hard for them to stay focused without kind of having the reward of playing in the games, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of guys accept the backup role, and I think my mental, you know, thinking about it is that I never wanted to be a backup, and I never accepted that. I always prepared like I was a starter, even though even like when Patrick's having all the success, I was like, hey, I need to compete and try to be the starter and try to make him better and make myself better. So each and every day, I went into it knowing that I could be the starter, and obviously I knew I mean, knowing that I wasn't going to, but I still kept that mental aspect of it.
What has been the feedback from any of the guys, Patrick, or any of the coaches like Andy or Matt Nagy, your quarterback coach, or even Brett Veach, the GM? Have you talked with them? What did they say? Did they know that you were going to do that after the Super Bowl, or was that a surprise to them? And then have they said anything to you since then?
Yeah, I think it was a big surprise. I mean, the quarterback room kind of knew, but the coaching staff did, and I kind of kept that on the download just in case I did want to switch my mind or figure out what was going to go happen next. But with exit meetings, I mean, Coach Reed was great. Obviously, the appreciation for both sides. But at the same time, he's like, well, if you ever want to get into coaching, if you ever, I mean, don't ever say never. You know, you could come back. You know, if we want to come have you back, we'll definitely have you back. But it was those conversations through him, Eric Bieniemy, Matt Nagy, whether coaching or playing again, and it's just a mutual respect. You know, being with those guys for so long was definitely a tribute to them and myself.
Well, you mentioned coaching a couple times there. What's next for you?
Well, go back to Pennsylvania, settle down, obviously get the kids back in school. But my mindset right now is to hopefully start training quarterbacks in the area and kind of just put my resume out there and see if we have any fillers. I mean, I think it should go well there. I love the mindset of Pennsylvania kids back home, and just I have so much knowledge that I feel like it would go to waste if I'm not involved in football.
When you say kind of go back and put your resume out there, I mean, obviously everybody knows who you are, where we're from, and I would imagine you'd be able to train a lot of quarterbacks. And certainly we can talk offline, because with Go Big Recruiting, I can certainly help spread the word about what you're doing. When you say put resume and feelers out there, though, are you talking about maybe coaching at a level higher than that at some point, or you just mean in terms of getting quarterbacks to be able to train?
Yeah, just getting quarterbacks to train, and obviously, being in the tri-state area, it's like, we're at the beach, we're at the shore. It's easy to go there. There's a couple fields there that I can train kids from New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, and just hopefully, I can teach some kids some knowledge that I've had over the years and help them become better quarterbacks and better people.
So let's talk about your career. 15 years, 3 more than you were looking for. Obviously, you made great money and all that stuff. You were a starter earlier in your career, and then you were a backup, which, by the way, is, I think, kind of how it is for most guys that end up becoming backups. It's like they got the experience and started earlier in their career. When you look back on it, Chad, I don't know the right way to ask this question, but how do you look back on your career? Did you exceed expectations, meet expectations? I mean, look, you were like one of the top high school players in the country, and you went to Michigan. I don't know, maybe you thought you'd start for 20 years and be like Brady and win. I don't know. I don't know what you were thinking going into your career. And I think that's what's interesting, right? Is that, like, for me as an undrafted guy, 7 years I exceeded it. With some guys, I was talking with Christian Ponder about this recently. He was a first-round pick that played 6 years, so that's looked at a little bit differently. How do you look at your career?
Well, I mean, first off, exceeding expectations for playing for 15 years, I think, is definitely something you can be proud about. I would never change my career how it went. I mean, the adversity I faced, all the learning experiences, the networks, the people that I've been around, I would never change that for the world. There's so many good people in this business and so many people I learned from. But at the same time, personally, I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, I was a 4-year starter in high school, 4-year starter in Michigan. There was a lot of success earlier on in my career. And then I'm thinking, heck, I can do this in the NFL and be successful in that as well, personally. But sometimes it didn't go that way. And, that's where I kind of look back and say, man, maybe I could have done something different. It's tough. In the NFL, you have to be surrounded by the right people. And I felt like I was never the quarterback to say I can take over a team and lead them by myself, like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Andrew Luck, like one of those guys that had success so early on and they could do that by themselves. I felt like I had a great running game, had people around me that could help me and improve me that way. So I definitely feel like, yeah, there's some, things that I wish I would have done that way, but at the same time, 15 years and all the relationships that I've had is one that I'll always remember.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, it's a unbelievable career. There's no question. And, I say it all the time, careers are really a product of situation and circumstance a lot.
Sure.
Very much so. And for you to do what you did, it's incredible. Really appreciate the time. looking forward to connecting, whether it's in Pennsylvania or at the beach this summer. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Go get your kids to school.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.